So I'm Harry Beard, I'm 19 and I'm a co-founder of a company called Future Labs. We're a Generation Z consultancy looking to help usually bigger brands target Generation Z, so people born between 1995 to 2010. A lot of what we do is working alongside Generation Z to really understand what makes a Gen Zer tick, so whether it be a trend within music, for example at the moment Old Town Road by Lil Nas X is pretty popular, all the way through to big sort of social issues, whether it be climate change in the UK or gun control in America. And then from working with Gen Zers and creating funky campaigns with talented Gen Zers who maybe have a creative sphere that we can utilise to create a really meaningful message, we then go to bigger companies and look to collaborate with them on these projects, and so link the Gen Zer to them or consult businesses on what Generation Z, what's making them tick, because at the end of the day no one really understands our generation like we do. So for me, one of the things that makes me really passionate about working with Generation Z and encouraging brands to work with Generation Z more is the fact that I think a lot of people underestimate Generation Z. I mean, we speak a lot about Generation Z. By we, I mean people who give TED Talks quite often. You know, there's a lot of TED Talks about Generation Z online. I think a lot of them, in my quite humble opinion, are fairly empty in the way that we say Gen Z is this really profound generation that's so different, and they've got used to social media and they've got the internet, but what actually makes them different? It's not just the use of the internet. I mean, Gen Z are consuming less alcohol than ever before, we're having less sex than ever before, we're being called Gen Sensible. Social media is not causing that whole seismic shift of change. I mean, we're seeing individuals creating global movements on really serious topics from a ridiculously young age. I mean, one of the examples I'm going to be giving is a 15-year-old who's gripped the world's attention and is currently educating multiple parliaments across the world at the age of 15. So that for me is what makes us so unique, and is why I'm so interested, because at the end of the day, generations gone by were fairly similar. I mean, okay, there were some differences, like my parents grew up with a TV and maybe my grandparents didn't, but I'm growing up in a world where any one of us could, within a day or two, become a global leader of a ridiculously big movement and be seen as a leading expert. Like, you know, any Gen Zer could go on to educate some of the highest people in the world through to politicians and other global leaders, or they could be educating en masse through social media. You know, you could reach 1 million people without even really thinking about it. So for me, that's what makes me so passionate about Generation Z. It's the fact that we've got all these resources and we're using them really well, and a lot of us don't even realise that we've got these opportunities that no one else ever had before us. What does beyond the box mean to us, really? What does it mean to Generation Z? I guess the talk's not really coming from my point of view, it's coming from the point of view of Generation Z. And I think for us, beyond the box is just natural. It's almost like day-to-day life because we're so different. I mean, a lot of older individuals, maybe my parents, they'll look at our generation and go, wow, you guys, you know, you're doing something really beyond the box. You're voicing your opinion to thousands of people at any one time. But to us, our entire generation is beyond the box. And I think that because it's so natural to us, a lot of Gen Zers don't maybe appreciate it or don't understand why it's so unique. So for me, I hope to, within the talk, explain why I think Gen Z is so beyond the box, and then really make links to the past and show how major that is, because it can be really easy for us who live with it every day. You know, for me, I could put out a tweet now and it guaranteed to reach at least 1,000 people, but you know, my parents grew up being told you'll be seen and not heard. Two completely different, contrasting upbringings, but we never had the latter, so we can't appreciate it as well as older generations do. So I hope to make some comparisons to really highlight what beyond the box means for me. The reason I think that particularly the wider community within Birmingham will find the talk interesting is because it's really hard to have an authentic understanding of Generation Z unless you grew up in it. You know, you can ask a Gen Z off the street a random question, what's your favourite song at the moment, what's your favourite video game at the moment. And these are very sort of current trending things, and you can find that out quickly. But to really think about what makes Generation Z so different on a wider scale, more than just I listen to a different genre of music than my parents listened to, but all the way through to why do I think and act differently? Why is the whole fabric of our generation different to previous generations? And so what I'm hoping to do is give an insight into the generation that's more than just going up to a random kid on the street and saying, what's trending at the moment, what's popular? I want to know about what makes the fabric of our generation so different from previous generations. Why is our generation being called Gen Sensible? How do you reach out to this generation? So for business owners, I think it's going to be really important because Generation Z currently influence $5 trillion in spending per year globally. So as a business owner, it's crucial to understand this generation, not just what's trending today, but understanding the generation. Because again, if you're not a Gen Zer, it's really tricky to understand our generation authentically. I think business owners will hopefully find it interesting. I think parents and teachers and people who surround themselves with Gen Zers every day will hopefully find the talk interesting, because I want to explain why the young people around you are acting so differently to maybe how you acted when you were that age, and giving you a bit more perspective on how we think and why we act the way we do and how you can engage with young people. But then to the students as well, of course. Why should you attend the talk? I guess because you are Gen Z, you probably know it better than I do. I would say that if you're a student, I'm hoping to allow you to understand the opportunities we've been given and why we are a generation that does live beyond the box. Because at the end of the day, everything I'm going to be talking about to us is really obvious and really second nature. But what I'm hoping to then extend on is why it's so different and how we can use it to give ourselves an advantage that previous generations never had. And in fact, maybe some of the world's leading figures from generations gone by would have loved to have had if they were in our shoes. Super.
Awesome.